The Institute for the Study of War reported that Russia appears to be preparing to systematically integrate motorcycle usage into its offensive operations in Ukraine during summer and fall of 2025, aiming to offset adept Ukrainian drone capabilities. For months, Russia has been pushing to capture the remaining parts of Donetsk Oblast in eastern Ukraine, with a focus on Pokrovsk, Chasiv Yar, and other Ukrainian strongholds. Amid heavy losses of armored vehicles, Russia resorts to using motorcycles, scooters, and civilian cars in their assaults. Despite Western commentators mocking Russia's Mad Max tactics, using motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles with high casualty rates, it appears that Moscow deems them as the key to avoiding Ukraine's increasingly successful first-person view drone attacks, even though commentators suggest that the noise of the motorcycles prevents the riders from hearing the approach of Ukrainian drones. It now seems that Kiev has come to a similar conclusion regarding their utility on the battlefield. The Military Issues website defense blog, citing comments made by Ukraine's Major General Vladislav Glochkov, noted the ability of motorcycles to help support operations on the battlefield. ISW cited footage published by the Russian Ministry of Defense on the 26th of April, showing likely elements of the 299th VDV Regiment of the 98th VDV Division practicing offensive and defensive tactics on motorcycles in small groups at a Russian training ground. The footage indicates that Russia is likely developing a tactical doctrine for systematic offensive motorcycle usage and may be preparing to increase the number of motorcycles issued to its personnel in Ukraine. Ukrainian Kharkiv Group of Forces spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Pavlo Shamshin reported that Ukrainian intelligence observed Russian troops training in combat tactics with motorcycles. Shamshin stated that motorcycles offer Russian forces enhanced speed and maneuverability critical for evading Ukrainian drone strikes. However, he noted that the loud noise of motorcycles prevents riders from hearing approaching Ukrainian drones. ISW observed an increasing trend of Russian units conducting mechanized and combined motorized assaults and transporting infantry with motorcycles and civilian vehicles along the front line. According to the ISW, this adaptation aims to counter Ukrainian drone threats and to mitigate Russian equipment shortages caused by high losses of armored vehicles during the summer and early fall of 2024. The ISW also highlighted that Russian forces recently advanced near Bahatir through a motorized assault consisting entirely of motorcycles and civilian vehicles. The Kadirov clan, which has ruled Chechnya for nearly a quarter of a century, is likely to disappear into oblivion in the near future. And there are serious grounds to believe that this event will trigger a process of destabilization throughout the Russian Caucasus. The Russian opposition resource We Can Explain writes about this. The black streak of the current leader of the Republic, Ramzan Kadyrov, began after the so-called SVO, Russia's aggression against Ukraine. The Great War turned his troops and the head of the Republic himself into a laughingstock, destroying the image of brutality and ruthlessness. Then came Kadyrov's serious health problems, which further undermined his position. Not only Ukrainians but also Russians stopped fearing him. The Kadyrovites were a symbol of impunity and the omnipotence of the head of Chechnya. But when the real war began, they showed complete incompetence and became a laughingstock. Chechen security forces shoot at bushes and tell how they missed the Ukrainian armed forces. But in Grozny, the Chechen military successfully shot down a passenger plane, the article says. The media claim that Kadirov has begun to have very serious disagreements with Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, an attempt to get involved in the story of the seizure of the Wild Berries Company resulted in a complete defeat for the head of Chechnya, and there are persistent rumors that he has begun to prepare a backup airfield in the United Arab Emirates for his family in case of losing power. Kadirov's clan is very actively transferring stolen billions there. Meanwhile, Chechnya is becoming increasingly feverish. The Republic and the entire region are about to flare up. Religious youth do not agree with the anti-Islamic order in the region. They want the unification of the Caucasus and oppose the Kadyrovites, who are called the Russian occupation authorities, the Russian resource rights. The internal conflict between the Kremlin and Ramzan Kadyrov, the head of Chechnya, is rapidly expanding beyond the confines of a behind-the-scenes struggle. Details have emerged about plans to hand over power to his son, contacts with Qatar, and pressure on Kadyrov's allies, which could mean the beginning of a new round of confrontation. Experts do not rule out that Russia risks entering a third Chechen war, this time within itself. Recent FSB has passed on to the Kremlin information about Kadyrov's numerous unauthorized negotiations with Middle Eastern Muslim states regarding the future of his family's assets and personal security. This has become one of the main reasons for the breakdown of trust between Putin and Kadyrov. Ukrainian special services should become more active against the backdrop of the failures of the Ukrainian army and the possible freezing of the conflict, expanding their activities in the Russian rear, and also committing a number of political assassinations on Russian territory. This was stated by the secretary of the Verkhovna Rada Committee on National Security, Roman Kostenko. According to Kostenko, he is very pleased with the murder of Russian General Yaroslav Moskalik, committed by Ukrainian Special Services. The MP confirmed that Kiev was involved in the terrorist attack. "I am pleased. This is good work by our Special Services. I think that even if we reach the point of stopping the war, the work of the Special Services will only just begin," added Kostenko. The MP called for the actions of the Israeli Special Services, which operated around the world catching Nazi criminals after World War II, to be taken as a model. He said that the SBU and the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine should act in the same way so that Russia would be afraid. Recall, Russia detained a man suspected of killing a Russian general in a car blast outside Moscow on Ukraine's orders, the FSB Secret Service said. Moscow had previously accused Kyiv of being behind the blast, which killed senior Russian General Yaroslav Moskalik, deputy head of the main operational directorate of the military's general staff. Ukrainian Special Services agent Ignat Kuzin, born in 1983, a resident of Ukraine who planted explosives in a Volkswagen Golf in the city of Balashika in the Moscow region, killing Lieutenant General Yaroslav Moskalik, was detained, the FSB said in a statement. According to the FSB, Kuzin had rigged the car with a homemade explosive device, which he took from a Ukrainian Secret Service stash in the Moscow region, and the bomb was then detonated remotely from Ukraine. Kyiv has not commented on the blast, which bore the hallmarks of previous attacks on military figures and high-profile backers of the Kremlin's offensive over the last 3 years.